Well, today's video actually comes from ex-Layman saying you should compare the best and worst roller coasters created by different manufacturers. And to be honest, that's quite a brilliant idea. So now in this video we're going to be taking a look at the best and worst roller coasters from 10 different manufacturers. And if you people in the comments really like this video, let's make a part 2. And if you're quite new to the channel, please show some love with a subscription or like or comment, that would mean the world to me. And to make this video interesting, I won't pick family roller coasters or kiddie coasters. Now let's start off with Vekoma, because I think their worst roller coaster is Limit at Heide Park. And I know there are really many Vekoma roller coasters out there that are quite bad, but it's mostly the SLCs or boomerang coasters. And I have actually chosen to focus on Limit at Heide Park because this old Vekoma SLC still has the old train, and these old trains are just horrible. And first of all, the profiling on some of these elements are also quite bad. And unfortunately, Limit has these very old and bulky Vekoma roller coaster restraints that just gives a lot of head banging. So instead of focusing on the layout, you actually just focus on surviving. And that's just how it is riding the worst SLCs out there. But personally, the best Vekoma right now for me is actually Leg Coaster at Legendia. And yes, I could have picked Fly at Phantasialand, but unfortunately I left disappointed last time I rode it. And this is where Leg Coaster just delivers an awesome ride experience. Leg Coaster overall delivers a very smooth and intense positive/negative G-force heavy ride layout. This coaster really packs in some aggressive elements, especially the twisted first drop, and then you fly into this sidewinder inversion. And in terms of positive G-forces, Leg Coaster is just the most intense next generation Vekoma. And now moving on to the next manufacturer, we have Intamin. And we all know the worst roller coaster is Green Lantern First Flight at Six Flags Magic Mountain. And this bizarre looking roller coaster was a so-called Intamin sack spin roller coaster model. And I don't really think anyone can say some positive things about this roller coaster experience. And many people just describe this ride layout as a never-ending car crash experience. And based on the off-ride footage, you can really see that some of these small drops are just crazy looking. And the purpose of the sack spin was of course rotating vehicles, and it didn't really offer that many inversions. But now going over to the other side, the best roller coaster by Intamin for me personally is of course Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure. And as we all know, Velocicoaster is a multi-launch roller coaster model that just offers the whole ride experience. You have everything from intense immersive theming and a brilliant ride experience. This coaster just has everything: 2 punchy launches, an awesome spaghetti ball section with airtime and whip, and then you have a second half with amazing elements such as the top hat with great and amazing airtime, a fast-paced 0G stall, and then the famous Mosasaurus roll in the end. And now the next manufacturer is Gravity Group, and I don't really think this manufacturer has some bad coasters. But my pick for the worst roller coaster is Switchback at CDT's amusement park. Switchback was really an awesome and quite innovative roller coaster idea, and Switchback includes a very awesome frontward section with a great steep first drop and very fast-paced elements. But unfortunately, after the vertical stall, this ride experience is just quite dull. The backward section is just too slow, and this roller coaster also is quite rough. And my pick for the best Gravity Group Woody is of course Voyage at Holiday World. And you can't really argue with Voyage being a contender for the best wooden roller coaster in the world. This amazing wooden roller coaster starts out with a great first drop and huge camelback hills. And then the rest of the layout mainly stays low to the ground, flying into these woods with sharp turns and many small airtime hills. And even though the mid-course brake run really hits, this roller coaster still keeps getting better and better. And this amazing wooden roller coaster actually features 24.3 seconds of airtime, and that's just amazing. And now the next manufacturer is actually S&S, and I think their worst roller coaster is Sequoia Magic Loop at Gardaland. And this bizarre looking roller coaster is the so-called Screaming Squirrel model from S&S. And I don't really know what's the most bizarre thing, the ride experience on this coaster or the look of the coaster. And unfortunately, the amazing hang time on this coaster model is really destroyed by the restraints. The coaster train really features these pillow restraints on each shoulder, and that's just horrible. And for many seconds your whole body weight is just pushed on these shoulder restraints. And now S&S best roller coaster is of course AG Nike at Fuji Q Highland. And when Arrow actually went bankrupt, S&S bought some of their assets, especially the 4th dimension roller coaster model. S&S built 2 extra 4th dimension coasters in Asia, and the best one is of course AG Nike right here at Fuji Q Highland. And we all know the coaster model has this crazy vertical drop and bizarre elements with the rotating seats. But AG Nike is just a bigger, better and faster version of this 4th dimension coaster. And that's why it's of course the best roller coaster by S&S. Now the next manufacturer is Gerstlauer, and I think their worst roller coaster is Huracan at Belantis. and Huracan is actually part of the rare 6-seater coaster model by Gerstlauer. The coaster layout on Huracan features a vertical lift, a beyond vertical drop, and then many inversions. Unfortunately, Huracan doesn't have the best pacing in terms of Gerstlauer coasters. Gerstlauer is really known for creating small and whippy rides, but this one is quite floaty. But unfortunately, the experience is destroyed by the roughness. Huracan really is one of the worst Gerstlauers in terms of rattle, and you also have these horrible over-the-shoulder restraints. And now coming in as the best Gerstlauer roller coaster, we have Svur des Kanan at Hansa Park. And to this day, this roller coaster is Gerstlauer's most ambitious and biggest roller coaster. Svur des Kanan is part of the awesome Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster model, where the trains actually has lap bars, and that's awesome. So even though Kanan has a bit of Gerstlauer rattle, you can't really feel it because of the lap bars. This coaster features an amazing first drop out of this huge tower, and after that this coaster just has many bizarre elements and low to the ground elements. This is just an all-inclusive package with immersive theming. I can't really say more. Now coming in as the next manufacturer, we got Premier Rides, and their worst roller coaster is called Wonka Putturs at Linnanmäki, and this was actually a quite rare water coaster model made by Premier Rides. And the overall coaster layout was just as bad as the name. Wonka Putturs was very rattly and rough to ride, especially on the roller coaster track, and this coaster finally closed in 2017. And based on the off-ride footage, you can really see that this coaster train actually looked like the Intamin water coasters. And coming in as the best Premier Rides roller coaster, we have Mr. Freeze at Six Flags Over Texas. And this is where I could have also chosen Full Throttle or the reverse blast version at Six Flags St. Louis. Mr. Freeze overall offers a very punchy launch, and then you have a very simple and intense layout. The inverted top hat is very intense, the overbank has positive G-forces, and then you have this vertical stall with a boost. And this boost on the vertical spike just makes this backward section just as important as the frontward section. And then the backward section is yet again filled with strong positive G-forces, and going backwards just feels quite intense. Overall a short and very punchy coaster. Now the next manufacturer is actually Togo, and I think their worst roller coaster was Shockwave at King's Dominion. Shockwave was actually part of the very infamous stand-up coaster model by Togo, and many of these stand-up coasters were very rough and horrible, but some of these are also okay. And overall I have heard that Shockwave was a very bad stand-up coaster. Except the vertical loop, this roller coaster layout was just very boring. And I've also heard that Togo's version of the stand-up restraints were just horrible. And overall Shockwave just offered a very dull but very rough and rattly ride experience, just a no-no here. And now coming in as the best roller coaster from Togo, we of course have Fujiyama at Fuji-Q Highland. And wow, these last words were a bit of a tongue twister for me. And Fujiyama overall is a huge and very ambitious hyper roller coaster made by Togo. And even though this huge hyper coaster has the typical Togo roughness, this coaster still has many great airtime moments. And this ambitious roller coaster actually opened back in 1996 as the tallest full circuit coaster in the world. But to this day Fujiyama is nothing but a half janky and big Togo hyper coaster. Now coming in as the next manufacturer, we have CCI, and I actually think their worst roller coaster is Stampede at PortAventura World. And before you hate me in the comments, remember I had to pick the bigger roller coasters, not the family or kiddie coasters. Stampede overall is a very lengthy dueling wooden roller coaster, but the roughness of this roller coaster is insane. I personally think that Stampede is insanely rough, because at the bottom of some of these drops it almost feels like the train is falling off. And this coaster actually destroyed my dad's back. And Stampede does have a few airtime moments, but the rest of the layout is just twists and turns. Now coming in as CCI's best roller coaster, we got Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. And Ghost Rider yet again could also be a contender for the best Woody in the whole world. Ghost Rider really features a very lengthy and out of control wooden roller coaster layout. Ghost Rider really features some awesome airtime moments, but on top of that you also have some strong lateral G-forces in the turns. And this awesome CCI Woody also features a great drop after the mid-course brake run. Overall you got a lengthy ride experience, intense airtime, great laterals, great pacing, overall just an amazing coaster. And now coming in as the next manufacturer, we have Chance Rides, and I think their worst roller coaster is the Swiss Toboggan at Little America. And there's actually quite a few toboggan coasters out there just like this one, but I picked this one because there's footage of it. And what can I really say about this coaster? Just look at how bizarre it looks. First of all, you have a very weird Postman Pat looking coaster train that is very isolated. Then the coaster goes up the vertical lift, then you go around in circles, increasing the speed. And the pacing on these sharp drops and turns in the end are just crazy. It feels like a car crash yet again, or maybe something out of Roller Coaster Tycoon. And I really think Chance Ride's best roller coaster is actually Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom. And Lightning Run just really looks like Chance Ride's take on the Intamin Mega Light coaster. And Lightning Run is an awesome smaller scale Hyper GCX coaster that is just filled with airtime moments. And in the coaster community, we can't really wait for more of these coaster models to get built. And on top of the amazing airtime moments, Lightning Run just overall offers a very smooth ride experience. And this smaller scale coaster really finishes up with an awesome airtime filled ending. And in terms of restraints, Lightning Run actually features some decent decent lap bars. And now coming in as the next manufacturer, we got RMC, and I think their worst roller coaster is Fire in the Hole at Silver Dollar City. And Fire in the Hole is actually a reimagination of the old Fire in the Hole made by RMC, of course, now. But sadly, many people think that the old Fire in the Hole was actually way better than the new one. And the ride experience overall is half dark ride and half roller coaster. And in terms of theming, Fire in the Hole is actually a very beautiful roller coaster, but the roller coaster layout doesn't really do anything, and the splashdown is very dull. Perhaps this was the only coaster on the list where I cheated a bit and chose a family attraction, I don't really know. But now coming in as the best roller coaster made by RMC, we of course got Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa. And there are overall many contenders for the best RMC coaster, such as Steel Vengeance, Sadra, Hakuge and many more. Iron Gwazi for me is just a superior coaster overall, and I actually think this purple behemoth is a great mix of Sadra and Steel Vengeance. Iron Gwazi features the amazing pacing that Sadra has, but it also features amazing airtime moments and crazy inversions that Steel Vengeance has. So overall, Iron Gwazi for me is a contender for the best roller coaster in the whole world. So now we finally made it to the end of this video, and if you really like my video, please give it a like, a comment or perhaps a subscription, that would be awesome. And now let's see if we can grow OB coasters even bigger in 2025. And as I always do in the end of every video, I'm saying at the end of the day, I'm always gonna say bye bye.